Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Breiler.
I was going to start by saying go blue.
Because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Well, just like last week, that's not true. We got a lot to do. Smokey is a little overzealous there. He's thinking everybody's just chilling on a Friday, but we're not chilling on a Friday, dude. We're trying
man. Look at the sweat. This ain't from chilling, bro.
In the basement, there's sweat?
Well, I was just running around outside. I had pool things I had to attend to. I had RV things I had to attend to. I had to run down to Ann Arbor right quick today to take care of some things with one of our sponsors. So it's been on the go, man.
Well, shout out to Chris for doing big things on the go, running around like crazy. That's been kind of the norm here the last month and a half for Mr. Breiler.
Just grind, man. Are we going to tell him what's going on?
Yeah, I'm not looking for pity. I'm not, not one to really put my business out there like that. But when it affects our product and what we're doing tomorrow and our overall plan, I do think it's necessary to bring up and discuss. And it's a bummer. I mean, I feel like I look pretty good. I shaved yesterday. I feel like I got some decent sleep last night. I got some diesel going in me. I mean, I feel pretty good. Unfortunately, I tested positive for COVID today, dude. Freaking today.
Wow.
Do I have that? Where is that at?
I don't even think you have it. I don't think we have it.
Do we really not have that?
We don't have a COVID drop?
Well, I know we don't have a COVID drop, but dude, oh yeah. I tested positive for COVID. Yeah, not awesome. So I'm not going to be at the game tomorrow. Pretty bummed out about it. Chris Fields, it's a good point. At least it's just UConn. Me and Chris talked about exactly that.
Yeah.
It's like, glad this wasn't on a road trip to Iowa or Michigan State, Penn State, whatever. Dude, knock on wood, pray to whatever football gods you have that something like this doesn't pop up for the game at the end of the year. I mean, there's a lot of times where this would suck. Don't really know exactly where I got it. I don't know. My kid's in daycare, a couple of kids in his classroom, and the teacher were out last week with COVID. He's been fine. I mean, he hasn't even shown a symptom.
Shout out to CJ Frazier on COVID watch right now, CJ Frazier. You better go get that test from Walgreens right now.
That's not a bad point. CJ was slurping all over the microphone that I was using. We shared headphones. I was sweating profusely that RV.
I'm not even going to tell people what was going on in the RV prior to it was just a hot one in the RV. What I will say, I've seen a couple people ask, yes, I am still going to be there flying solo with the RV. We're still going to be posted up 517 Berkeley. Wolverine State Brewing Company has once again hooked us up with some phenomenal beer. Now, the private label beer, the Winged Helmet beer, is not going to be ready for tomorrow's game, but it will be, if everything stays on track, it will be ready for the Big Ten opener against Maryland. And so looking forward to that. But yeah, the RV is going to be out there. The beer is going to be available. Music's going to be playing. Brandon and I are still going to do our pregame show. It's just going to look a little bit differently. He's going to be doing it remotely. Right, but hey, man, the same still applies. I'm posted up. The RV's posted up. We're tailgating. If you guys are in Ann Arbor, if you're coming to a game and you want to swing by the RV, we've even got some giveaways for you. Nate at Wolverine State Brewing Company hooked us up. Not just the beer, but we got a few other little giveaways for you and a little bit of a surprise as to who's going to be filling in for Brandon on Saturday. My wifey.
Oh, all right.
Wifey. Okay. She's coming down in the RV. She's gonna man the RV while I'm in the game. And so you can come down and meet Mrs. Winged Helmet, who is always a pleasure to be around. But yeah, man, we're still going to be posted up doing our thing. It's just going to look a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bummer. I wish I was, and I'll put it this way. I'm doing this out of the courtesy of not trying to give it to anybody. I feel fine. I could be there. Like I've got a little bit of a stuffy nose. Like I've had colds worse than this. I would go 100% if it wasn't for, not wanting to pass this on to anybody else. We don't know who's going to show up. There could be some people out there who are a little elderly. I mean, shoot, man, my parents are in their 60s and I don't feel like giving it to them. Little kids have come by. I mean, I'm not going to risk that.
Yeah, man.
Not to mention being in the club, in the press box with a bunch of people and I'm just not going to do it. So anyway, it's a little bit of a bummer. And I was looking at, who was it? Sean's comment here. I am going to take another test in the morning and double check because it was just an at-home test. But again, I feel a little bit crummy, a little bit under the weather. That's what prompted me to take the test. And it was positive. It wasn't like I have zero symptoms and I just got this weird, potentially false positive. I'm pretty sure it's accurate. But I'm going to check it again. I'm going to get up early in the morning. I'm going to check it. If it's negative, I'm going to roll with it and I'm going to show up. But as of right now, I will not be out there tomorrow, which, yeah, it's a bummer, but it is a noon game. It is UConn. They're supposed to win by 50. I mean, we'll still be able to bring you the content that we always do. It's just I'm going to be here. Chris is going to be at the stadium or at the RV, and then we'll do the same thing we do post-game, same kind of articles, same kind of content. Nothing else will change. I just won't be on site. So it's a bummer, but we'll get back after it when Big Ten play starts, and then, shoot, man, we'll be hitting the road after that. So feel pretty good about where everything.
Bro, adversity is nothing to a couple guys. Yeah,
man.
Like us. We just roll, man. Something happens, we figure out another way.
It will. Yeah, Sean, I promise it's not that's not important to you. I'm just saying, if I have to look, if you give me the 12-game slate and say you got to miss one of these a little under the weather, I'm not picking the one in Columbus. I'm not picking the one against the Green Weenies. It would be one of these first three, and we'll call it good and we'll keep it moving. So anyway, there is that. I hope there's a curveball in the morning and the test is negative, but the test came back like very dark line. If anybody has ever done the at-home COVID test, sometimes there's a little faint, little fuzzy line. Sometimes it doesn't show up. Dude, this thing came through in like 4 minutes, like dark. I don't, I'm pretty sure I've got the Rona, dude. I'm pretty sure I've got it.
Now, wait, are you sure it wasn't a pregnancy test that you took? Are we sure that this was a COVID test? You didn't grab the wrong test? I'm just making sure, man.
Where's the swab supposed to go?
I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Wait, for the pregnancy test or the COVID?
Pretty sure I got the right one. So anyways, there's that. Bummer. Yeah. Here we go. Moving into the pod. Regular, everything else. Schedule's the same. Content's the same. Location a little different. All good.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Chris, can you do it? Can you call me dumb when I'm diseased and laid up and sick? You can still do it?
Yeah. Yeah, we can do it.
Chris can still call me dumb. Even he took I almost just did a Chris Rock line. It's pretty inappropriate.
Wow.
Do you remember? Yeah, I took my AIDS test, passed it, got a 65. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's just a strong line. Anyway, you're dumb. You're smart. Chris, let me have it.
Let's get it.
I'm keeping it up there till it freaking happens, man. Number one, JJ McCarthy will account for 4+ touchdowns. 4 or more.
Yes, I do think that happens tomorrow, and it's for some of the reasons that we talked about. That, look, we know that UConn is not going to be a strong opponent. We know what the first two opponents looked like. That's something that I want to get into a little bit later. So don't forget that, Brandon, because I'm still pissed off. I'm still angry. I'm still hot. I'm still on fire. But we know what the first three opponents were. We know that UConn's not going to pose much of a threat. But at the end of the day, Big Ten play starts the following week. Maryland's not a strong team, but at some point, the first team guys have to get into a rhythm, have to get into a flow, have to get used to playing at least the bulk of 3 quarters. And so I do think UConn is the day where JJ finally hits that 4 TD mark, probably gets 1 rushing, another 3 through the air. I think it's going to be a productive day, maybe 2 or 3 series into the third quarter and then call it a day. That's
my thought. Not necessarily all through the air. Maybe it's a 2-2 split. He keeps I don't know. We absolutely know he's got what's Jim Harbaugh always say? He's got the license and ability to score 4 touchdowns. It just depends on the game flow. It depends on what it looks like. another 42-0 or something at halftime. Maybe not, but I'm with you. I'm anxious to see if, do the starters go into the second half a little bit, get them a taste of what third quarter football feels like, because they haven't even really seen it yet this year. So,
can we give Terry Trevino a shout out for watching us in the back room at work? Just posted up. He's probably got surrounded by boxes or whatever the hell's back there. Terry, make yourself comfortable. It's going to be a long show. Hopefully you're in for the whole hour, man.
I love it. Love the commitment. Babe, the guys are on. The guys are on. Number 2, Chris, and we talked about this a little bit ago. I sent you a tweet. I'm going to bring that up in a second once we get through the question. Am I dumb or am I smart? Roman Wilson finds the end zone again.
Smart. I mean, he's money. Assuming he touches the ball, it's like a 99% chance that he's taking it to the end zone at this point every time he touches the ball. So, yeah, I would say Roman Wilson for sure. He's just too fast. He's too talented. All you got to do is get him the ball in open space, and especially against a defense that isn't that great, man, he's talented enough to carve him up. And so I would say, yeah, he gets at least one tomorrow.
So let me ask you, I sent you the tweet. Michigan Football's official Twitter account puts it out there. Roman Wilson has touched the ball 4 times. He scored on 3 of them. Now, again, blowouts. He hasn't played a lot of snaps. But to me, I'm like, maybe give him the ball more than 4 times. Like, let's, and you could say that about Andrell. You could say that about Cornelius Johnson, Eric Gall, the back. I mean, whatever. I know. They're Michigan's number 1 in the country scoring points. They beat each team they've played by more than 45 points. I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, find your horses. Ride them off into the sunset, man. Give them the ball over and over and over again. Probably not going to see it again tomorrow, but that potential is there, and everybody just wants to see that.
Yeah, well, I think it's hard when you're also in the first 2 weeks trying to figure out who your starting quarterback's going to be. That 2 guys that bring different things to the table. There's not really some consistency out on the field, and so I think if Jim Harbaugh opts to stick with JJ McCarthy moving forward, which I can't imagine that wouldn't be the case, you're going to start to see that synergy develop among JJ and some of his top targets, and I think you're going to start to see those numbers increase. We talked about it last week going into that game, into the Y game. The one thing I wanted to see was, can a Michigan receiver get 5 receptions, which isn't asking a lot. And then lo and behold, JJ starts the game. Ronnie Bell ends up with 6. And had he not dropped it, it would have been a 7th reception. And so I think you're going to see more of that as time goes on. Man, the numbers, I put the wide receiver numbers out today. Andrell Anthony, way too damn talented to be at the bottom of the pack in terms of production. He's got 1 reception for 5 yards on the season.
Yeah.
Got to get better.
Even in big wins, man, that's a little discouraging. You want to see
that? It's just feed him. Give him the guy.
Yeah.
Put the ball in his hands. Give him a jet sweep. Give him something to get into the flow of the game.
Chris Fields, to answer your question, different strokes for different folks, my guy. If you want to watch on YouTube, watch on Facebook, watch on Twitter. I mean, granted, a big portion comes from the Facebook page because it's active and people are in there and talking in the comments. But YouTube's cool too. YouTube is definitely cool wherever you can do it, whatever works easier.
Yeah, man, whatever works best for you. If I guess I was going to say, I guess I didn't realize you couldn't see Facebook comments if you were commenting from YouTube or vice versa. I don't think Facebook people can see the YouTube comments, but they're usually pretty active over there on Facebook.
Yeah, no, that makes sense that the two platforms don't communicate. Yeah. I can see them all just fine right here. And actually, I don't think you can comment from Twitter, so that's right. A little different in itself.
Chris Fields, the biggest thing is we want to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube page and the other content that's out there so that you can see it. So as long as you're subscribed, wherever you want to watch the live show is totally cool.
Number 3, Chris. Number 3. Blake Corum will carry the ball at least 15 times. At least 15.
You know what? I'll say smart. And I think a lot of that's going to have to do with Donovan Edwards being out of the game. Now, I know CJ Stokes, people are pretty high on him. Yep. They're eager to see what he does. What he does. Wow. They're eager to see what he be doing out there on the field on Saturday.
What he does.
They're eager to see what he can do. But given the fact that Edwards is out and those two guys were splitting reps pretty evenly, I do think you're going to see Corum maybe get a bulk of the carries in the first half. So, yeah, 15 carries, that's not a ton. I would assume he'll get there.
By the way, we don't know for sure that Donovan Edwards is out. We're just assuming, but Jim Harbaugh says he's ready to go, and it's UConn. So I mean, I would be surprised if Donovan Edwards plays tomorrow. So we'll roll with that. But I'm with you. I think that's why Corum carried it 13 times last week, 9.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was backwards. Whatever. 15's not like a crazy number, and if Edwards is out, he's your standalone number one. I do think CJ Stokes plays a lot. He's been really good, but I think Blake's going to take it up a notch tomorrow. That's my little.
I'd like to see Blake get up over 100 yards rushing, have a couple big, chunk plays. I'd like to see that happen before we get into Big Ten play. Number four. Multiple DBs at this point, and now cornerbacks coach Steve Klingscale have publicly talked about taking the ball away, creating turnovers. He said, I like PBUs. I love interceptions. I want to get those. I want them to catch them. Will Johnson dropped one. McCarthy Page dropped one. They want to catch those. They want to turn them into, an opportunity the other way immediately. Michigan will force 2 or more turnovers tomorrow. By the way, UConn has turned the ball over 8 times in 3 games. So can Michigan get at least 2? I think so. I think a fumble and an interception, and I think we might get something out of Will Johnson on Saturday. Okay. I know he's had a couple of tough goes. I know that he got burned week 1. I can't really remember what week 2 looked for him. I know he got challenged a couple of times, but I think Will Johnson's going to come up big. I think he's going to get his first INT of the year, actually. Late in the game, but Will Johnson comes up big.
It would be cool to see. McCarthy Page had one last week. Really kind of got knocked out of his hands by his own teammate. 2 guys in the right place at the right time, but couldn't quite haul it in. There's going to be an opportunity, I think. Whenever Michigan's in these games where the other team is going to be down by a lot and throwing at the end of the game, you'd think that somebody might be able to grab one, but we will see. Luke, the answer is I'm in my basement. I've got like studio lights down here that were given to me by SI. The backdrop. I've just kind of created this little nook over here, but there's no walls or anything. It's just this little section over in the corner of the basement. I don't know if it's technically an office or a den. I don't think I can claim either one of those terms. Not yet. The plan is to redo this area down here and have a full working office. But anyway, there you go. I just thought I would answer that because I wonder that sometimes too. Like if you saw the other direction of the camera, the bad news bears.
I mean, I'm looking around. I got toys and shit everywhere. Like this is, it's a disaster down here. I mean, you can.
You mean this Michael Jackson album right here? The Thriller album that's older than me? That's legit. Oh, you mean this Chuck Norris folder right here? Autographed? Thank you. Is it? I don't remember if it is. My wife met him, but I don't remember if he signed it. All right, what the hell's happening? We're
signed it with his
off
fist.
The rails in the middle of you're dumb, you're smart. Number 5, Chris. Wait, I thought I had. Okay, I changed that. All right. Michigan will keep UConn under 300 yards of total offense. UConn is averaging 337. Michigan is only giving up about 235. Michigan will keep UConn under 300 yards of total offense for the entire day.
Yeah, I think they will because I think the defense is going to play a little bit more. I think the first team is going to play a little bit more. Look, you're into week 3 now. It's time to start turning things up a little bit. Now you don't got to go pedal to the metal, but I expect the defense, they gave up some points to Hawaii. They gave up some points to Colorado State. They've been really close to a shutout. Yep. And I think they probably preached that all week in practice that, look, we got to get better before we get into Big Ten play. So, yeah, I would say Michigan confidently under 300 yards for UConn.
So it's funny that you bring up – so I wrote these down to get ready for our podcast, and then I usually take them, and that becomes my psychic predictions for the game article. I added the shutout. Dude, I know they've been killing the other teams they've played. I know it's been big wins. I know it's been starters out at halftime. But we've talked about this before. If you've ever played football, I coached middle school football. It doesn't matter the level. If you go through most of the game with that goose egg sitting up there, and then at the end on some BS long pass against the back, and the other team scores, everyone is livid. That defensive coordinator, every defensive player, they all want that 0 to be sitting up there at the end of the game. I think they're going to try really, really hard to make sure that happens tomorrow. So in my prediction, I was also getting dogged a little bit for not going out on a limb enough. So I went out on a limb and said Michigan,
you did.
UConn under 300 yards and pitch the shutout. That's in the article over there on WolverineDigest.com if you want to go check it out. What if I threw that caveat in there? Under 300 yards and also the goose up on the scoreboard.
They've been so close, and they've really given it up on a couple of, just bullshit plays that I think otherwise they would have stopped. And so I think they're going to be locked in. I think there's more of a focus. Like I said, it's week 3. It's time to turn it on a little bit. I think you're going to see more out of this defense. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at, man. I think under 300 yards. What was the other question?
Keep the shutout.
The shutout? Yeah, man. I mean, if it's coming, it's coming on Saturday. I don't know. There's going to be many other opportunities. Maybe out in Piscataway. We'll see.
So that's what was that 5 smarts again?
Again?
You're being really nice to me, man. Really nice.
I mean, you're making good points. You're not giving me much of a choice here. Trust me. I will call you dumb.
Yeah. So recap real quick. J.J. McCarthy, 4 or more touchdowns. Roman Wilson gets in the end zone again. 15 or more carries for Blake Corum. 2 or more turnovers for Michigan. And holding UConn under 300 yards. And then I said, and also pitching the shutout. So there you go. Travis, you must have joined us a little late, my man. Chris is going to be on site, 517 Berkeley. I, unfortunately, tested positive for COVID today. Blows, but I'm not going. Unless there's a 180 in the morning and I test negative, I will not be on site tomorrow. I will be holding it down at home and doing the podcast and the pregame and the postgame from right here. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so there you go. Before we get into our next segment, Chris, let's hear a word from our guy, Rich.
Let's hear it.
Over at Mediascapes.
Hey, this is Rich from Mediascapes located in Burton. Let me fill you in a little bit about our business. We are a full-service sign and graphic company from banners, yard signs to vehicle wraps. When it comes to marketing your business, we also provide video and photography services as well as apparel and promotional items. If it's something that will make your business or organization stand out, we do it. And I guarantee we do it well. We are Mediascapes on Dorrit Highway, south of Bristol Road, just before Rock Bottom. Check out our work at Mediascapes.com. That's Mediascapes with a K.com.
As he said, Mediascapes with a K. There's the logo. There's the company name. There's the phone number. There's the tagline and the location there in Burton, Michigan. Check them out, man. Go check out Rich for anything you might. I mean, literally anything you might need. Anything you might need, Rich has got you. All right. Are you ready for the next? Well, Chris, actually, is your soapbox handy? Is it nearby? Can you grab it real quick?
Hold on a second. I can grab this thing. Yeah. Let me. Yeah.
Chris is about to get up on a soapbox. I got the wrath a little earlier on the phone earlier today. Yeah, I don't know. I think Chris is. How do I want to put this and be nice? Chris is he feels a little attacked. Is that fair?
I don't know if it's attacked. I just feel really irritated.
All right, fair enough.
Really irritated. So yeah, I'll get right into it. And look, we say this all the time. We love the people that follow us. We love the fans. We love the people that support the social media sites. I think it's great. But over the first 2 weeks, I have noticed a trend that I'm losing my patience for, right? And so we use this analogy before, and I'll use this analogy before I get into my little speech here. But Brandon, have you ever been driving in your car? You put in a CD that you like, and you listen to it, and you listen to it, and you listen to it. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm sick and tired of hearing these same songs. I'm pissed off about it. I'm sick of it. But you keep playing the CD over and over and over. Like, have you ever found yourself in that situation? Or when you get tired of the CD, do you just take it out and change it to something else?
Yeah, no, I've never done that because I'm not a dumbass.
Well, so the analogy is if you are one of those people out there who routinely, whether we post a statistic, an article, something interesting, where your response is, we don't care. Michigan hasn't played anybody. Let me know when they play somebody. You know what I want you to do? I want you to get up out of your chair, go into your backyard, dig a hole, and bury your head in that hole until November or until Michigan plays a team that you deem worthy of discussing the stats, because it's our job to talk about those things. When we put out statistics, whether it be from the running back group, the quarterback group, the tight ends, defensively, whatever it is, it's numbers. You interpret that however you want. But there isn't a single person that's a part of this fan base, including Brandon and I, that are aware or unaware of what the schedule has been. Yeah. We know what Colorado State is. We know what Hawaii is, and we know what UConn is going to be. And guess what? I don't give a shit. And Nick Saban talked about it when a reporter brought it up. You know, is it hard to gauge your offense when you're playing subpar opponents? And you know what Nick Saban said? He said the mark of a champion, basically, is a team that handles their business regardless of who the opponent is. And you know what Michigan has done? They have handled their business regardless of who the opponent is. And so I get it. Michigan State fans are going to talk shit, and Ohio State fans are going to talk shit, and Notre Dame fans are going to talk shit, and that's fine. But I cannot accept that from people within our own fan base here who want to complain about the games on Michigan's schedule. And so I say that.
But it's not just that. It's that they complain about it and then they bring it to
Here's the thing.
Platform.
Correct. So
like, it's one thing if you kind of want to do the dick move and whine about it, because like you're just being
complain.
You're just being a dick. I mean, like, we get it. Like, they aren't playing great teams. I get it. But it's taking the next step to then coming to a Michigan social media page, a fan
not just
site.
a Michigan. It's like I saw it on the Facebook page, and I look at it, I'm like, you cannot come to my platform, the Winged Helmet, and bitch about the content we put out without me throwing your ass out. And so it's a public service announcement because, listen, I want you guys to be a part of it. I want you to experience all the great content. I mean, we're only in week 2, and I feel like we've been able to bring some good stuff, but we haven't even scratched the surface. So all I'm saying is, if you're one of those people out there who isn't interested in anything that happens until late October or November, or you're tired of the content, or you think the JJ stuff is too repetitive, or whatever the case is, do me a favor. Step away from the phone. Step away from the computer. Take a break. Because Brandon and I, we've got a job to do. We work hard to put out the content we put out. And that's just the way it's going to be. But you can't come onto our platform and complain about it and then expect to be able to stick around and enjoy the content we put out. And unfortunately, a couple people had to learn that earlier the hard way. And I hate to do that. I hate to do it. But I just want people to know, man, like, if you're not going to allow yourself to enjoy the first part of the season, don't rain on my parade. Don't ruin it for everybody else. We're out here having fun, man. We get college football for 4 months if we're lucky.
What did you say earlier? It was something about joy. They were joy something.
They're thieves of joy.
Thieves of joy.
Yes. I don't give a shit until they play Michigan State. Well, then why are you here? Go away. Go do something else. But for the love of God, on every single post, whether it's a statistic, whether it's an article, whether it's a photo, we're all aware of who they played. We get it. And if the only contribution you have to the platform is reminding everybody repeatedly that they haven't played anybody, I'm just going to toss your ass out, because it's not worth the time. You're wasting my time. You're wasting the fans' time. You're wasting comment space. I'm over it. Over it. We're 2 weeks into the season. I'm losing my shit.
It's pretty simple, man. You don't like what's on, change the channel. That's it.
It's a choice.
I used to get this a lot on Twitter. A lot. Guys would just come at me to talk shit and act crazy. And then I would look at their page and I'd be like, you follow me, you dumbass. Stop following me then. Like, I don't understand that energy.
Why are you guys doing so many articles about JJ McCarthy? Well, should I explain to you a little thing called analytics? And our job is to make sure that we're getting like the most traction out of our posts. So that's the other thing that pisses me off. People are like, well, we don't like the content. We don't want the whatever. Listen, all the content you get is based on analytics. We know what you guys read. We know what you pay attention to, and we know what you don't give a shit about. There's a reason we don't do baseball articles. There's a reason we don't cover hockey. We've tried those things, and
DJ
nobody
just hit it on the head too. People that complain about that stuff. Chris was like, "Did you read the article about Steve Clinkscale? How about the one about Mike Sainristil? How about the one about the preview and the opponents? How about any of our?" I mean, no, they just come there to act that way. And I said this to you on the phone, Chris. This is like, it doesn't matter the arena. There's a few people that suck at parties. There's a few people that suck at your job. There's a few people that suck at your church. There's a few people who suck at the mall. There's a few people who suck in your section where you sit. There's the people that suck at your tailgate. Some people just blow, dude.
True.
That's all it is. That's all it is. It sucks because it's thieves of joy, dude.
But you know what, Angelo? Angelo, that's not what it is, because I'm not even addressing Michigan State fans in Ohio State. I'm talking about fans within the Michigan fan base who just choose to remain miserable in spite of the fact that Michigan is handling its business against clearly inferior opponents. We all get it. We're all relatively smart people. We know what's happening. But if you, like I said, if your only contribution is to bring everybody else in the room down, then save it and go do something else, because we don't have time for it on our platform. That's it. End of rant.
For it.
We work too hard for that bullshit, Brandon.
I love it. Chris told me about it on the phone. He was fired up. He was fired up.
I am.
Somebody said something about Android earlier. I couldn't resist. No, but it's true. It's true. I mean, I dealt with it I never blocked anybody on Twitter, and then I just had to do it because it just got to the point where it was stealing my joy.
I mean, dude, you get like the 18th guy of the day to come in and say, well, let's pump the brakes. They haven't played anybody. And it's like, can you at least read the rest of the damn comments to see that there's like 20 other people like you? For God's sakes.
All right. We are on to
Big Ten, Big Game.
So the Big Ten slate this weekend is not amazing, but there's a couple decent matchups, Chris, and I wanted to get your take. I actually have two on the
Big Ten, Big Game.
on the positive side.
Okay, I like it.
Two on the positive side. First up, tomorrow, 3:30, number 22 Penn State going down to Auburn to take on
I like it.
Tigers.
I like it.
Penn State is favored by 2.5 in that game, which actually surprised
I'm surprised, yeah.
I
am
think if
surprised
I'm
by
putting
that.
money on it, I'm probably putting it on Auburn. If it's a really close game or Auburn wins outright, would not surprise me at all. What's your thoughts on number 22 Penn State getting 2.5? I'm sorry, giving 2.5 down at Auburn.
I don't trust Penn State and James Franklin on the road. I think that's a shaky team, and I don't believe in them. And it's a tough place to go. I mean, War Eagle, that's not an easy environment to play in. So give me Auburn. Penn State favored. Just give me Auburn outright.
I know it feels like Auburn's going to win that game, dude. That's a tough game on the road, man. I mean, I think Michigan's markedly better than Penn State and better than Auburn. If Michigan was going to Auburn tomorrow, I'd be on alert. I mean, like
yes.
that's SEC country. That's deep down there, dude. That's not an easy place to go in and try to get a win.
That's down there in Brian Kelly territory.
If Penn State goes in there and wins, it will change my opinion of them in a pretty big way.
Absolutely.
So
there's no question.
I'll put it like that. And then, of course, I've already seen the comments. There's a lot of Washington Husky fans whirling around.
Go Huskies. Can Giles Jackson get revenge on the Spartans?
That'd be hilarious, man. Number 11, Michigan State is going to Washington, way out west, dude.
Tough place.
Pacific Northwest, 7:30. The Huskies are favored by 3.5. The Huskies are the favorite over a damn near.
They got Penix at quarterback. I don't know if a lot of people. I mean, if you're right, if you're from a Big Ten guy, if you paid attention to Indiana, Penix was solid quarterback down there. Now he's doing it out at Washington. He's going to give Michigan State some problems. There's no question.
So where do you? I mean, you got the Huskies covering, winning. Michigan State going to make it real close, or
give me the Huskies all day. And then you know what? I don't want to hear shit from Mel Tucker or that fan base for the rest of the year until they do something of note. The deep water, the woodshed, all that chop life. I'm tired of hearing about it, and I think this is going to humble them.
It's a new year. It's a new day. I just can't forget about how badly Michigan manhandled Washington last year. I know they were down some players, and it was close. Oh, I'm sorry, and it was at home for Michigan. Dude, Big Ten teams don't do good going out west. They don't. Not hardly any of them. Most of them do poorly when they go out there, Michigan included. I think give me the Huskies too. I think they're going to win tomorrow night, dude. And I think
Yes,
Michigan
sir.
State fans are going to be very, very upset and salty and sad for the rest of the weekend.
I'm really going to enjoy that, Brandon, if that happens.
Well, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't too. Chris must have been dealing with some audio issues because he just bailed. Usually he at least gives us a heads up, unless he just had enough of us tonight. I don't know. All right, there he is. He's back. Had some audio issues, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Chris, if you can stay awake for the little bit of a talk about this one, we got Southern Illinois heading to Northwestern at noon. Evanston, Ryan Field, Southern Illinois,
Listen,
noon.
I'm going to be honest. If I was in Evanston tomorrow and somebody came up to me and said, hey, I've got 2 tickets to the best seat in the house, everything covered, no parking, beer, food covered, I would not go. I can't think of a more, unless Wisconsin is playing somebody out there. Does Wisconsin play tomorrow?
Wisconsin play.
That's usually my go-to for sleeper games.
New Mexico State at Wisconsin.
So sleepy. At least they have jump around, though. At least they have jump around.
I believe that's the Fighting Andre Seldins. Is he not at New Mexico State now?
I believe he.
Or is it
it was
one of those two. It's one of those two. But yeah, I'm slightly intrigued by Oklahoma going to Nebraska without Scott Frost. Like, all right, dude, if Nebraska can get a W without Scott Frost, that is just going to be poetry.
Phenomenal. You got to pull for Nebraska a little bit. Now that they're frostless, you got to, Jesus, can you imagine what that was like dealing with that guy? What an awful experience.
Yeah. So there you go. Not a lot, no ranked matchups in the Big Ten tomorrow. Ohio State's hosting Toledo. That'll be ugly. Rutgers at Temple is god-awful. There's some bad ones. I think Southern Illinois at Northwestern is indeed the lamest game on the slate. So there you go. There's a little look around the Big Ten. Nothing too exciting. Michigan's even in that camp. Not going to be very exciting. Their favorite.
Yeah, but at least you get to watch a really good football, and you get to be in the big house.
Yeah,
it's always special in the big house, no matter who you're playing.
Well, speak for yourself there, bucko. Since
Assuming you don't have the virus.
I got to ride the sofa tomorrow, which, it could be worse.
Sorry,
could be worse.
It could definitely be worse.
All right. It's time for over-unders, dude.
Oh, boy. Let's get into it.
It's one of my favorite segments, dude.
How do we want to go here? You want to kick us off?
Yeah, let me start it because we've already talked about this one, but it's really just about. Well, we both already said what we said, so this should be. I'll have to make sure from now on to not have my predictions be as close as these over-unders. But my over-under to start us off, nice easy layup, little meatball here since we've already talked about it. J.J. McCarthy over-under 3.5 touchdowns total.
Over. Yeah.
More passing.
Yep. I'm going to go over the over. I think he's got 3 through the air. I think he's got 1 on the ground. I think he's going to play more snaps than he's played so far. And I think it's going to be another efficient, effective day for one Mr. McCarthy. So I'll hammer the over.
Yeah, I think it needs to be the over. I think if he can, so the first game, what was it, 11 snaps, 4 for 4, quick 30, 50 yards rushing, got in the end zone. Everyone's like, damn, imagine next week when he starts.
Yeah.
And then he started, and he was lights out. And it was only 27 snaps. Still accounted for 3 touchdowns. I think if he's in there and he plays 30, 40, 45 snaps, which I don't know if he will. It's UConn again. They're going to win by a lot, but we've all been wondering, like, is this the week where the starters run it a little longer? If he's in there, he's going to score. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I will say over as well.
All right, let's stick with the quarterbacks. I'm going to ask about Cade McNamara. I know everybody's curious to see what does the QB2 situation look like on Saturday. Not just Saturday, but what does it look like moving forward, especially with what we know now about the transfer portal, that it is, Cade McNamara is going to stick around for the remainder of the season. So on Saturday, I got Cade McNamara set at 3.5 series for Cade McNamara. 3.5 series.
I'm going to jump right in then and do my second question because
Okay.
my second question was Cade McNamara at 10.5 snaps.
Okay.
Which I think is probably less. I mean, you pick up a first down, you're going north of 4 or 5 snaps on that series.
Assuming you pick up a first down.
Yeah, well, I guess that's part of the equation. So my number is probably a little less than yours. No, give or take. I mean, dude, if he's in there for 3 and outs, he's under 10.5. So
there you go.
I think that's why I picked the number I picked. I think it's right there. I will say, you know what? I think it is like 3 series, and I think it's over 10.5 plays by like a little bit. I think he picks up a first down or 2 on 1 or 2 of those series, gets him in that 12, 13 snap ballpark. So I did you say 3.5?
3.5. 3.5. Yep.
So I guess technically I'll go under your number, over my number. Under 3.5 series, 3 series, over 10.5 total snaps.
So here's what gives me pause on the 3.5 series is based on the way things went last weekend with the smattering of boos, and Cade was obviously struggling, and you could tell mentally he wasn't there. I'm wondering if now that things are a little more settled, if he's going to get more of an opportunity in the second half after JJ's done to just go out and maybe build some of that confidence back. Because like a lot of people have said, there's probably going to come a time throughout the year where they're going to have to go back to Cade McNamara, whether it's for a couple series when JJ's injured or whatever the case is. But you want that guy to be right mentally. And if Michigan can get up big and Cade McNamara can get into a rhythm, I think you got to give him as many series as you can give him so long as the offense is moving forward. And so I'm going to say over, because I think Cade does come out and perform better than what we've seen the first 2 weeks. I think he's a better quarterback than that. And I think a lot of the shit that's been going on with the controversy, now that that's over, I think maybe he can just put his head down, go play some football.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, we're all kind of this isn't nearly as exciting as who was going to win the job and if it was JJ, how he would look. But if Cade is truly the backup, which he is, I mean, like, I know a lot of people really like Davis Warren, and they're like, oh, Alex Orji could be this guy, and Bowman looked okay in week 1. Cade McNamara's the backup. I mean, he damn near was the starter, and he was the starter last year and did great.
Yes, he's the backup, but he has to play better.
Well,
I mean, he has to. If you look at the stats, granted, Bowman hasn't thrown as many balls, Warren hasn't thrown as many balls, but statistically speaking, Cade McNamara has just not played good football. And so, yeah, he is QB2, assuming he can play better than what he's done the first 2 weeks. He's just got to play better football. I think he does on Saturday.
Yeah, so I think if he's the true number 2, then you're going to see him as much as you would see any backup quarterback in the country in that scenario when you're up 40 or it's late in the third and the game is at hand or whatever the case may be. So I'm curious to see how that looks. So we'll see. We'll see. I guess it's kind of technically back to you since I jumped in through my second there too.
All right, so we haven't seen it yet. I'm just going to come right out with it. Blake Corum, does he finally get to 100 yards on Saturday? Do we have a 100-yard rusher? I've got Blake Corum set at 99.5 yards rushing on Saturday. Does he break the century mark on Saturday?
Give me the over. I think Blake Corum is going to carry it more than 15 times. I think they're going to try to establish the run game a little bit more. Every question feels like it just comes back to, is this a little bit more of a dress rehearsal for Big Ten play, or is this, they're done at halftime? I think they should. I'll go off what I think and what I would do and what I would like to see. I think the starters should get a little more run, and I think he's going to carry it 15, 18 times, and I think he does hit 100 yards.
Yeah, same. It goes back to what we talked about before. I think this is the game where you start to turn it up a little bit. You start to figure out, okay, we know the opponent isn't great, but we got to find out some things about ourselves. Can Blake Corum go and get 100 yards against, Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn? I mean, it hasn't happened yet. So some things need to be figured out. The offensive line, I know that they've played relatively well, but you haven't seen some of those big plays offensively. So, yeah, I'm going to take the over. I think Blake Corum finally has, $125. I think he gets out on a big run, couple touchdowns. I think it's going to be a solid day for Mr. Corum.
Couple things to address.
There it is right there, Matt Kirby. There it is right there. Oh, wait, maybe he was doing that on purpose.
Yeah, he is. He's got the laughing emojis. Mike Mike Fort from the YouTube page. We don't know for sure if Donovan Edwards is out. I'm going to assume
Probably
that he
out,
is.
yeah.
Jim Harbaugh gave us the the classic. He's working through something. Wouldn't get any more specific than that. It's UConn. You don't need him. Let him get back to 100%. I think Donovan Edwards is going to be out. And as for Corum, he's been fine. He just hasn't had the volume. He's had 9 carries and 13 carries. If he carries it 15, 18, 20 times, he's going over 100, and that's what I think it's going to look like. So there you go. All right. Week 1, Chris, sack party, 7 of them. Week 2, 1. Uno sack. Yes, Hawaii was getting rid of it quickly. It just didn't happen because of the game plan. Michigan over under 4.5 sacks. I'm going to put it right in the middle. They've got 8 sacks in 2 weeks. 4.5.
I'm going to go under. I mean, when you said that number, I was thinking 3.5, and I was questioning whether or not I'd go over and under. At 4.5, I'll go under. I don't know. I could see him getting 3 or 4 sacks on the day. But again, like, I thought it was going to be a little more chaos against Hawaii, and I know they get the ball out quickly and run a different type of offense. But, I mean, a 4-sack day is a solid day, solid afternoon for that defense. So give me 4. I'll take the under, but I still think they get the 4.
I think I'm leaning under, too. I think they're going to look at – I mean, it's not like Hawaii had success, but at least their quarterback wasn't getting drilled. Yeah, by getting rid of it quickly. You know, you're going to scout, you're going to watch tape, you're going to see what you might be able to do. I think they try to recreate what Hawaii was able to do, at least in terms of drop, protection, 1-2, get it out. They don't want, these kind of teams, they need every hand on deck. They cannot afford to have their quarterback go out, whoever it is, because they just don't have enough talent at places like this. So you lose QB1, you're in a world of hurt at some of these places. So, and I think their top quarterback is already out, if I'm not mistaken, the transfer from Penn State. So I'll go under, too. I think you're right. I think it's probably a 3 or 4 mark. Wouldn't surprise me if they had 5, 6, or 7 of them, though. I mean, we saw what that looks like, but I'll go under as well.
All right, it's going to come back to a guy that we have talked about quite a bit, not just on this show, but, other shows leading up to the season. I obviously think very highly of him. Andrell Anthony has not been a part, really, of this offense. I know he's blocking. He's out there doing the dirty work, and I give him all the credit in the world for that. But 1 reception for 5 yards through 2 games isn't going to cut it. And so I've got his over-under for receptions on Saturday set at 2.5. Andrell Anthony, receptions on Saturday, 2.5 receptions for number 1, Uno. Can he get 3 catches?
I'm going to go under, dude. I mean,
that hurts.
I don't want it to be under, but I'm just looking at how it looked the first 2 games. I mean, he's playing less snaps than Ronnie Bell, Cornelius Johnson, and Roman Wilson by quite a bit.
Yeah,
by quite a bit. He's just not on the field as much. And when you're not on the field as much and you're not throwing the ball as much, and through 2 games he's got a catch for 5 yards, I got to take the under. It hurts my heart, but I got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know that there's a lot of wide receivers out there. There's a lot of tight ends. They've been spreading the ball around, and you can see that in the numbers. But at the end of the day, if Andrell Anthony is one of the top 4 wide receivers at the University of Michigan, at some point here over the first 4 weeks, he's got to have more than 1 catch in a game. You've got to get that guy up and running. We talk about it all the time. Quarterbacks need a rhythm. Running backs need a rhythm. Offensive linemen need a rhythm. Wide receivers need to get into a rhythm. And so my hope is that now that the quarterback situation is settled, I know that JJ and Andrell have a bit of a synergy there. They've worked out a lot together. My hope is that you'll see some more targets for him, man. And 3 receptions is not a lot. That doesn't mean he's a focal point of the offense. It just means that they're not forgetting that Andrell Anthony is out there and can catch the ball. So that's my hope.
I mean, I'd love to see him more involved. I mean, like I saw, was it Terry, I think? Yeah, Terry Trevino said they're waiting to use him against Michigan State again. That's the only game he's allowed to have.
Just that one.
Yeah, we'll see what that looks like. But I'm just going off what it's looked like. He's not playing a lot, and they're not throwing it a lot. That's hard. That's hard to rack up numbers when you're working against those 2 things. So
I'm just looking for 3.
I'll reluctantly say under. All right, here's something that I don't think's been talked about very much. I mean, it's been discussed. I've seen the graphics, and obviously when you're watching the game, you notice it. And this is for that crowd that wants to talk about who Michigan's playing against. They can pound sand because this is a testament to how good this team is and how well they're being prepared and what they're getting ready for. Michigan is third in the country with penalties. Third. Ooh. They have had 4 in 2 games. That's it. 4 total impressive. In 2 games with a lot of backups, a lot of walk-ons, and a lot of young guys playing. This team is ready. They're focused. Doesn't matter who they're playing. They're playing to their potential. So I'll set the number. They've been playing clean football. It's another lackluster, inferior opponent. 2.5 penalties on this very disciplined, well-coached Michigan team.
I'm still going to take the over.
Okay.
I'll take the over, but but not. I mean, a few penalties on the afternoon. It's still a solid afternoon. Yeah, but they have been playing clean football, and that is a sign of a well-coached team. They're playing inferior opponents. They're not making a lot of mistakes. Nothing self-inflicted. So, yeah, give me the over, but not by much, man. I've been really impressed by that, man. They are just playing clean football, and I know they're not playing anybody of value, but that's hard to do. Like Jim Harbaugh said. It's hard to go out and throw 11 of 12 when you're playing, when you're right, or when you're out in the practice just throwing around with your homeboys. Like, that's tough to do. So at some point we got to start to give these guys some credit for what they're accomplishing.
I will take the under simply because that number is ridiculous. I mean, dude, 320-pound linemen holding their water during how many times a game does JJ come up and do the fake slap and then they look over to – and those linemen are just sitting up there the whole time. No false starts, not very many holdings, no grabbing in the secondary. No, that's just a really, really impressive –
No substitution bullshit like we saw last year.
All those dudes playing, 80 guys playing, 40 on each side of the ball, and you've had no substitution penalties. It's really impressive, dude. That's a phenomenal number. So I will take the over simply because that's just hard to do. It's hard to be that clean and that good through a whole game. They've done it so far. 4 penalties in 2 games. So I will take the over, but I'm with you. You're not going to see an explosion, I don't think. Too many experienced, good football players on this team. Yeah. But 2.5 penalties, man. Dude, that's hard to do.
Well, we've talked about this group a lot, and then one guy in particular I know that we're pretty high on. He doesn't have too many touchdowns. I think you predicted that maybe earlier in the year he was going to get one. This isn't really specific related to one player, but I'm just going to ask, does a tight end get a touchdown on Saturday? I've got the over-under set at 0.5 for a tight end scoring a touchdown on Saturday. Do we see a tight end get 6?
Yes. I'm going to take the over.
For extra credit, who is it?
All right, here's what you got. I'm going to go down my list of reasons first, and then I'm going to tell you who it's going to be. You got Eric All. We know what he's capable of. Basically a jumbo wide receiver out there. Yep. You got Schoonmaker. Same type of deal. Was a dual-threat quarterback, athlete guy in high school. He's 260 now. Both of those dudes can run, catch, make plays, be athletes. Then you've got Colston Loveland, who has been making plays at the ends of games with backup quarterbacks, and they seem to all want to throw to him. Didn't say it had to come to the first quarter, right? It can come at any time. And then dark horse. You ready for this dark horse?
Wait, is it a one Mr. JH?
JH.
Well, maybe not. Who's your dark horse?
My dark horse is Matthew Hibner, who lined up at fullback on the 1-yard line. I could see a handoff to number 88. I don't know if that's going to happen, but if it happened, I'd be like, I thought they might try to pull that out at some point. So, to go back to the extra credit question, I will go with Luke Schoonmaker as the touchdown maker from the tight end position tomorrow. Who are you referring to now? JH?
I'm going with Joel Honingford.
Oh, whoa.
So, listen, I heard I can't remember which one of the coaches it was that said it this week, but I believe that there was a statement made saying we've got to get Joel Honingford in the end zone. We've got to get that guy a touchdown. And I don't think he's had one yet in his career at that position. And if it ain't going to come against UConn, I'm not exactly sure when it's going to happen. And so give me Joel Hongingford for the tight end touchdown, the lone tight end touchdown on Saturday.
Chris is out here like a real Las Vegas handicapper right now. That kind of scoop right there, that's how you move lines, brother.
They want that man to score the football.
Well, that is interesting because he looks capable, and I mean, dude, that would just be an awesome, great story, great opportunity for him.
Grant Newsom. It was Grant Newsom that said it, right? I believe it was Grant Newsom that said it. He said, "Yeah, we got to get that guy a touchdown." Sharon said it.
Wouldn't surprise me if any of those guys get one. I'll go Scooney. I believe he had a 2-touchdown game last year, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did at home.
And a couple of incredible snags, too. One-handed.
And JJ? No, I think it was Cade. Anyway, I'll go Scooney as my extra credit pick for who will get a touchdown. Is this it? Yeah. Am I wrapping it up?
You're wrapping it up. You're wrapping it up.
As I said earlier, Michigan is number 1 in the country in scoring offense, 53.5 points per game. There's the number. Over under 53.5 points against this UConn team.
Let me check my score prediction that I sent you to see where I had them at.
Sean,
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over.
Bit of a tickle. Getting a tickle here as I'm talking. I don't know if it's that.
I'm going to take the over. I got Michigan at 56 points on Saturday, so give me the over. What is it, 53.5?
53.5 is their mark.
Yeah, give me 56.
I'm also going to take the over. My prediction, which we will get to momentarily, is north of 53.5. So there you go. I don't have to dig too deep. Michigan's going to be able to score at will. How long are the starters in there? How much do they put the pedal down? That's what it comes down to. So, yeah, they've been over that. They've been over that mark. Well, obviously once they were and once they weren't. But no, 56-10. And what was the other score? The other final score? I can't even remember now.
I don't have it in front of me. 63-3. I mean, we got predictions coming in.
Dude. What? That's terrible that I can't even remember that.
You got COVID, man. Give yourself a break. You got COVID running through your system, man. You can't just be pulling numbers left and right.
I mean, I'd like to think that I can.
Here we go. 51-7 over Colorado State.
51-7. There it is.
51-7. The fans are always coming through, man.
I knew somebody would have that faster than I could look it up. So there you go. All right. Whew. We're coming up on an hour, Mr. Ryler.
We are coming up on an hour.
We got one final segment. I feel good about it. Just a couple games to talk about. Not a big slate of ranked matchups. And then, of course, our prediction for the Michigan game.
Yeah.
Here we go. Ching, ching. As always, this is for entertainment purposes only. Please don't put your mortgage up on what Chris and I say here. Or do it. I don't know.
Let it ride, man. Life's too short to not gamble with your mortgage.
For those of you watching Louisville, Florida State tonight, if you want to play, come to your boy. I got you one. Throw this one out there first before we get into these actual matchups for tomorrow that we normally pay attention to. Louisville and Florida State are playing tonight. Malik Cunningham, big-time runner at quarterback for the Cardinals. The over-under is set at 73.5 rushing yards for him. That's a big number. Yeah. He's gone over that number 13 times in his career.
At Florida?
He has never done it against Florida State.
It's at Florida State? It's on the road?
Where is that game? That's a good question. Oh, that's a great question.
Well, AJ Cooper saying Louisville just tied it up.
Yeah, the game is already going. I thought that's
where are they playing the game at? I don't have it in front
Louisville.
of me. It's at Louisville. All right, give me the over. They're off to a hot start at Louisville. Give me the over. Plus, I don't believe in Florida State, man. Florida State has been trash for a long time.
Well, so I put in a parlay, Malik Cunningham to score a touchdown and to be under 73.5 yards rushing. He already scored a touchdown. So there you go. All right, tomorrow's game, 2 ranked matchups, and then we'll finish with Michigan's predictions against UConn. Number 12, BYU, who's off a big win over Baylor.
Big win over Baylor.
Number 12, BYU at number 25, Oregon, who obviously got boat raced by Georgia, but it's in Eugene. That's tough.
Yeah.
Autzen. -3.5 for the Ducks. The Ducks are 3.5-point favorites. It's a 3:30 game. It's not going to be nighttime crazy rocking. But BYU, after their big win, they are dogs in Autzen.
Yeah, give me the Ducks to cover for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough place to play. Oregon is not as bad as what they showed last week. I think they're going to bounce back a little bit, and unfortunately, it's going to be at the expense of BYU. So, give me the Ducks.
To Mike's point here, I don't know if it was. I thought it was receivers. I think BYU is down a couple of key players. We'll put it vague.
I heard that before Baylor too, and it didn't make a damn difference.
I know. That's a tough one. I mean, BYU is that kind of team that's like they're just sneaky better than you think.
Though there is a huge part of me that wants to see Oregon continue to fail and Dante Moore to have a difficult decision to make.
There you go. That's not a bad way to look at it. So, but Chris and I both on the Ducks to cover 3.5.
Yeah,
all right,
yes,
and then
sir.
last but not least on the ranked matchups. Number 13 Miami at number 24 Texas A&M. Texas A&M. How about that?
Boy, boy.
Aggies are favored by 6.5 at home over Miami. 9 o'clock night game. The 12th.
Well, okay, that changes it. Give me the Aggies. That place gets difficult at night. They got all those damn cowbells or whatever the hell they use out there. It's a raucous environment. I don't believe in Texas A&M. I sure as hell don't believe in Jimbo Fisher, but I think the environment's enough. What's the spread? What's the
6.5?
6.5. Still give me Texas A&M. Still give me Texas A&M.
That number bothers me really bad.
Can Josh Gaddis figure out the Aggies?
Right. Yeah, though. Playing at that place at 9 o'clock at night. Give me the Aggies.
And they're going to be pissed off. They're fresh off of just a brutal loss.
Yeah, you're right. Dwayne Jones called you out. The Cowbells is Mississippi State, not A&M.
Well, what do they do at Texas A&M? Isn't it the same shit? What do they do out there?
Lose to App State? I don't know. That's what they do.
Besides cowboy hats and bib overalls and line dancing or whatever the hell that was they were doing on the field. Did you see that? Pregame against Appalachian State?
There's another line I would like to say right now, and I can't because you can't say it anymore. What does Texas A&M have? Steers and you know the rest. You know the rest. That's what Texas A&M does. Give me the Aggies, though. 7 points at night. I'll take that. All right. And last but certainly not least, UConn coming to the big house. Number 4, Michigan. Just favored by 47.5. No big deal.
All.
Noon kickoff, sleepy day. Your boy's going to be on the couch. I might not even have pants on, dude. I don't know. Do I need to wear pants tomorrow? I have COVID, dude. No pants.
I can't even believe it's a question. I mean, I've already counted on the fact that I would be surprised if you got out of bed at all.
Hashtag no pants. Michigan 47.5. God, that's a big number, dude. But give your prediction, and then that will tell us whether they cover.
Well, I've got, what is the spread? 47.5?
47.5, dude.
I've got Michigan covering. Give me Michigan 56, Connecticut 3. I do think they don't get the shutout. I think it's a last-minute field goal, one of those deals, but I do think Michigan covers, and it's another comfortable win. And then next week, we're going to write about it. We're going to cover it, and nobody's going to give a shit about it because UConn ain't a nobody. So, I mean, that's where we're headed.
I apparently also have them covering because I have the final score, Michigan 59, UConn 10. 59-10. That's a 49-point spread. That covers the 47.5. So there you go, dude.
I'll take a 3-0 start to the 2022 season. I don't care who the opponents are. Give me 3-0.
Certainly. Nobody's going to be surprised by a 3-0 start, but
you think Notre Dame would take 3-0? You think Texas A&M would take 3-0 right now? You think Wisconsin would take 3-0 right now? Nebraska would take 3-0 right now? Pretty much every team in the Big Ten West.
Nebraska would probably take. I don't know. Good Lord. How did that even happen out there? What's Scott Frost doing right now? Coke?
Being terrible somewhere? Like sucking the oxygen out of whatever room he's in?
Just banging.
Listen, I don't know him personally, but if that guy has a personality, it sure as shit didn't come out during his time in the Big Ten. There was not a more dry, uninteresting individual that I've come across.
Let me ask you a question. Would Scott Frost have a personality if he were on coke right now?
No, it would just be more of the same, but worse and more aggressive. Like, yeah, nah. The thing is, I don't think there is a substance in the world you can give him to make him pleasant to be around. And you could see that in the results of his football team.
Next question. What would happen if you put Scott Frost and Chris Swanson in a room together for an hour?
Which energy do you think would?
Well, I'm thinking that Swanson might turn him into like orange juice pulp. Like before, like he.
No. Here's what would happen. You'd leave them in a room together, and then you'd walk in 10 minutes later, and Swanson would be in the corner like nibbling, and there would just be like shards of Scott Frost's clothing and uniform left over. He'd just consume him.
Right here.
He'd be like, you know what, Scott? He's like, you don't bring the energy, so I'm gonna use you for energy. And he would just done.
Did Swanson break into a four-legged gallop last week? We never did talk about that.
No, but I was gonna say, no, we give him a hard time, man. But that guy,
we love that dude. I mean,
we
like,
love him.
I want that guy or a guy just like that handling many areas of my life.
Yes. Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, he's a good dude. He's got energy off the charts, man. He's perfect for the job he's doing. I tell you what, I sleep better at night knowing that Swanson's out there taking care of shit.
He's like Batman, dude. Throw up the Swanson signal. It's just a giant smile of glowing white teeth. Dude. Guy gets it in, dude. That's all he does. That's all he does is get it in.
Yeah.
I now understand this question. I'm slugging down a big tall glass of JJ right now.
Tall glass of JJ, baby. Yes, sir.
Dude, if I could get a sponsorship by Pepsi or Mountain Dew, I would die a happy man.
You would. Well, you would die. We know that.
Yeah, I would. I hope the COVID pop McDonald's chicken nuggets combo from earlier today doesn't take me out. Dude, do we need to educate CJ Frazier real quick? We're about to run out of our.
I don't even know if we got enough time, man, to go into CJ. That's a loaded question. We'll have to talk
CJ,
about that on
Google Chris Swanson, Flint, Michigan, and have a day. That's what we'll say right now.
There you go.
I wish I had that photo of him just on deck that I could just throw up real fast. Where he's just like, like right in the camera.
Challenging Caden Colzar to do push-ups while calling him Blake Corum. Come on, Blake, you can do it. Well, my name's Caden, sir. I don't give a shit. Do push-ups.
Oh, it was great. That is great. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight on a Friday night. We appreciate it very much, as always.
And I'll see you tomorrow.
That's right, Chris. Go check him out, 517 Berkeley. As of right now, I won't be there, but thank you for the well wishes, everybody. I actually feel pretty good. I'm pissed I took the test because then I was like, well, I can't knowingly go. But at the same time, had I not taken the test, then I would have just been running around out there with COVID. Like, that's not good either. But
you got to be a responsible adult, Brandon.
Yeah, but like we said, dude, you weren't feeling good, and neither was my wife. And so and neither one of you had COVID. So I don't know. It's really I'm surprised at my own self that I took the test, because I was like, in my head, like, nah, that's not what it is. I got whatever you guys have. Yeah. Anyway, barring a small miracle, I will not be in Ann Arbor tomorrow, but I will be there in spirit. The RV will be there. Chris will be there.
Yes.
It'll be a good time. Go check it out. Beer, maybe some food, maybe whatever the hell else might be.
Giveaways. Yeah, come on.
Go see it. Go check it out. I'll be sending my my regards from afar. So there you go. We will be back tomorrow. Oh, we did 9:00, Chris, like last week.
Yeah,
there?
We'll go 9 a.m. 9 a.m. So for the pregame show tomorrow, 9 a.m. It's going to look similar to this because we're both not going to be in the RV, so it's going to look a little bit different. But yeah, man, 9 a.m. pregame show, and then I head to the stadium at 10, and then even still, if you're still meandering about, come and stop by the RV. There'll be some things for you, at least some beer.
All right, we've now gone through the outro music.
That's what happens, man.
It's over 2 minutes long, and we can't get out of here. So, on that note, thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, 9 a.m. before Michigan gets ready to take on UConn. See ya.